In Kazakhstan, we're known for big landscapes, big hearts, and now big tennis ambitions. Players like Rybakina and Bublik are putting us on the map, but what it's really like to build a tennis nation from scratch. Today, I'm picking up a racket and maybe some wisdom to explore Kazakhstan's tennis revolution. I'll be doing that with Dave Miley, tennis director at Kazakhstan Tennis Federation. Hi, David.
Hi.
I'm not a tennis player myself, but I really want to try in this interview. Just be honest. Tell me from the scale of 1 to please don't, how do beginners look like usually on their first day?
Well, look, they don't look like professional players, but the most important thing to me is they look like they're having fun. Okay, so one of the things that we've changed a lot in tennis over the last 20 years is now we use slower balls like this one, 75% slower. So from the first time people play, they do it in an active and dynamic way, and they get to play the game. Serve, rally, score. And so that's why I think it's not about how you look, it's about having fun. So yes, you're not going to look like a professional, but we're going to be able to play the game, I promise.
Okay, let's try.
Okay, I'm not telling you anything. Okay, we're going to play on this court. Look, don't go back. We're playing here. So in this court, okay, between this line and here. You ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go.
Ooh.
Okay, good. Perfect. Ready? Try to get it on one. Good. Here we go again. Okay, here we go. It's coming. 1. Now your shot. 2, 3. Go, go, go. 4. Very good. Very good. Here. Ready?
Is this the red one?
This is the red one. Ready? Here we go. Okay. 1. Now you hit. Very good. Now again. You go.
Oh.
Good. Now we're playing. Very good. Here we go again. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 shots. Look at that. There we go. You see, we're playing. Good game, eh?
Good.
You see?
Thank you.
Good. You were excellent.
It was perfect. Thank you very much. My God, such a great cardio, because you know, when I do my cardio, it's usually like on the machine, whatever machine, and you're just standing there in one place. Here it's a lot of fun.
Let me tell you something. We did some research in 2007, and I wrote an article in the British Journal of Sports Medicine. We put heart rate monitors on all the players and pedometers, okay? In 1 hour of tennis, the heart rate was between 140 and 170, and they traveled 4 kilometers.
Wow.
Because it's 1 meter, 1 meter, it's interval training. You understand?
Yeah, it's the best for the heart.
It's the best for the heart, best sport. Thank you. I rest my case, Your Honor.
You've worked in 140 countries, if I'm not mistaken. It's like
I've visited, yeah. I've gone there for my work, yeah.
But almost the entire world map. What's the single most important factor you've seen when it comes to building a strong national tennis program?
It's a very good question. So I think every federation has 2 main objectives. One is more players and one is better players. So you want to try to increase participation, which means a lot of 10 and under programs, coaches, recreational players, and then you want to get the players to be playing Davis Cup, top level of the game. So that's the 2 big objectives. I think it's not just about money, it's about organizing a good system and about using limited resources effectively. So for example, everybody has limited resources, and so you try and use it effectively to have the best results. And for me, the systematic approach is that you need to have a program based on volume of training for the age, quality of training, and number of competitions. So for example, a good 12-year-old player, 12 and under player, needs to play about 12 hours of tennis per week, 5 hours of fitness, and about 60 matches per year. Different surfaces, different opponents. So that's kind of a guide. It's not just about money, because there's a lot of very rich countries that don't have players. Okay, like Saudi Arabia, very rich country, doesn't have players. So it's about a lot of factors, and there's some poor, not so rich countries like Argentina always have players. So yeah, and so in all the countries I visited, you have big federations, small federations. My first time in Kazakhstan was 1993. I went to Uzbekistan as well, and they had a very good program after that. And Yeah, so there's no, but it is about being organized, more players, better players. That's the key thing.
How would you describe the difference between Kazakhstan in 1993 and Kazakhstan September 2020 when you arrived
You know,
to Astana?
Kazakhstan in 93, it had been part of the Soviet Union and became a new country, okay? And my job for the ITF, I visited all the countries, starting in Estonia, finishing in Dushanbe. So they joined the ITF, and at that time, everything to do with tennis was in Almaty.
Yes.
They had courts there. Astana wasn't the capital. And the big difference is that what Bulat, the president, has done with the government, they've built all these tennis centers around the country. They've brought tournaments. And now it's like night and day. Now kids in Uralsk, in Atrau, in Ekibastus, Pavlodar, Petropavlovsk, they can play tennis. They can run tournaments and stuff. So that's the big difference. Is it's not just Almaty. And in fact, our national team playing in Czech Republic today, the under 14 boys playing the top 16 teams, 2 boys from Aktobe and 1 kid from Almaty. Okay, and our girls team was Aktobe, Almaty, and a girl from Aktau. So that's the big difference. Is tennis is really accessible, and I think it's amazing when I go to all these tennis centers and I see what's been done since 2007 when Bulat Turmaratov became the president, and now it's incredible.
It's nice to hear that because I grew up at the time where everything was located in Almaty.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Kokshetau, and in my small town, I didn't have a chance to try myself in different kinds of sports because the facilities were either in a very bad shape or they were non-existent.
You know, it's interesting you say Kokshetau. We have a boy training here. He's 14 years old, a guy called Rodion Trigel, and he's from Kokshetau. And he's been training here. He's 600 in the world. He's only 14, 600 in the world in juniors. He can be a real champion in the future.
Well, let's hope for
and that's
that.
a good example that Kokshetau has produced a player. And yeah.
Because the facilities were there, the
Yes.
infrastructure
Now they
was
have
there.
3 indoor courts and the players can play.
You've launched big initiatives like World Tennis Day and the Play and Stay campaign. If you had to design a campaign specifically for our country to get kids off their phones and just get interested in the game, what would you do? And I think you're already doing it.
Well,
let's just go into details.
It's pretty much implementing the principles of the Play and Stay campaign. The Play and Stay campaign, which we launched in 2007 in the ITF, had the slogan "Serve, Rally, and Score." Why was that the slogan? Because this is the best part of tennis. Once people hit the ball over, hit it back, play the point like you did today, they like it. They get hooked. So this is the big thing: is that we need to use that. And I say it all the time. And I mentioned to you earlier, we have a really good sponsor, Lexus. Lexus is our sponsor for our Tennis for Life and 10 and Under program. And their slogan is "Experience Amazing." And I try to use that in tennis because what Lexus try to do is customer service and customer retention. I want every tennis player, I want every tennis person coming to watch a tournament, play a tournament, I want them to experience amazing. If they experience amazing, they're going to come back.
Yes.
Okay? So that's the big thing, and I think this is the slogan. And when I talk to coaches, I say, when a customer comes to the court, I want them to keep coming back. And you have to deliver amazing experience. And that's so the principle of the Play and Stay campaign, and it fits in with more players because we need to get more players. Then out of those players, we identify the good ones and we try to get better players. And so what you'll see when you walk into every tennis center now, a pathway. And I use this example. When you bring a kid to school when they're 4 years old or 5 years old, you know that if they stay in school, they finish, they might go to university, they might do a master's, they might do a PhD. Not everybody does a PhD. I want them to see in tennis, you come in baby tennis, you can become a good 18 and under junior, you can maybe play professional, play Junior Davis Cup, or play Davis Cup for your country. But not everybody's going to do that. But there's a pathway. And so the parents know when they come that they can see maybe where my kid might be in the future.
I also like your point when we were entering this court, you told me about how you encourage parents to approach tennis training of their kids.
For me, the most important thing about tennis is that it teaches your kids to grow up. It teaches you a lot of things for life. So you learn that you have to think on the court, you have to be fair because you can't cheat. There's a lot of principles you learn, and especially about fighting and thinking for yourself. So you might have seen in every club now we have guidelines for parents, how they should behave.
Yes.
And so to be a little more positive. So for example, when I go to the prize giving, I always say to parents, please, your main job is to love your kid whether they win or lose. For me, the most important thing is that every kid, when they're on the court, they behave well and they give 100%. Whether they win or lose is really, it's nice if they win, but the main thing is they give 100%. And that's what I think is important about tennis. And parents have to see that, because sometimes the parents are a little bit out of control. But that happens in other sports too.
Of course.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to raise a champion.
Yeah.
Carlos Alcaraz.
Yep.
He's the youngest world #1 in men's history.
Yeah.
And he's only 20 years old. Many experts say that he's not only winning, he's reshaping the way you can succeed in tennis at such a young age.
Yeah.
In your opinion, is it more about money, infrastructure, opportunities that many players get in foreign countries? And do we have a chance in Kazakhstan to, at some point in time, to have such a player in the future from Kazakhstan?
It's a good question, okay? But I want to say that Carlos Alcaraz is an exception. Yannick Sinner is an exception. Coco Gauff is an exception. They break into the top levels very young. Normally, normal players, like even Rybakina, she broke into the top 100 when she was 21. Normally, the men are breaking into the top 100 when they're 23, 24.
Yes.
And the women when they're 22, 23. So that's a norm. So in answer to your question, Carlos is incredibly good, and so is Rafa Nadal. They were very young when they broke into the top 100, but generally, players break through later. So, for example, Bibit Zukayev, who's from Kazakhstan, he was born in Aktau, he grew up a little bit in Almaty. He qualified at Wimbledon. He's a Kazakh player. He's 24 years old. He's now making a breakthrough at 24. This is the normal. So what I say to a lot of the players is it's a long journey. Now, your question about does Kazakhstan have the ability to develop good players, we're showing it already. We have right now 3 boys in the top 60 in the world in juniors, Amir, Zanger, and Damir. Really good players, all from Kazakhstan. And we have under 14 boys playing the world finals this week, top 16 teams in Czech Republic, lost narrowly to Germany yesterday, and they're all from Kazakhstan. So what I think is amazing about Kazakhstan now is that we have the infrastructure, lots of clubs, thanks to our president and the government. We have really good coaches. The number of coaches have doubled since 2020 from 200 to 400. We have a lot of tournaments, so players can play a lot here, international tournaments, not just professional, the ATP, but also junior events. And so it's possible to develop good players here. You don't have to go to Europe. Now, some of our players later on, they go to Europe to have more training and competition, but absolutely Kazakhstan can develop players. And what's really, people should focus a little bit on examples like Zarina Diaz. Zarina Diaz became 40 in the world. She's from Almaty. She grew up in Almaty and became a top player. She didn't come from another country. So we have examples like that that show that Kazakh players can make it to the top. And I believe that now the structure is such that, we have an NTC here, 3 gyms, indoor, clay courts. It's an amazing facility. You won't find a facility like this in many parts of Europe. So
That's good
a lot
to
of
know.
times we have to be positive.
I think I'm coming to this interview with a lot of maybe preconception
Yeah,
about
sure.
the fact that maybe we're not at, in our best shape in terms of tennis, but you're, debunking all of my stereotypes right now.
But you know what I always say is perception is as dangerous as fact. If people perceive something to be true, it's very dangerous. So we try to give out the facts. And the facts are that last year we had 6 players in the top 100 from Kazakhstan. 6 players in the top 100. This year we have 3 in the top 100 of the juniors. We qualified for the world finals, top 16 in under 14 boys and under 16 girls with all Kazakh players. So we are close to some of the top nations in the world. And I think the future looks really good. And maybe, because a lot of what I do here since 2020 is based on what Italy, Czech Republic, some of the top nations do. And it's based on the right volume of training, quality of training, and the right volume of competition for the age of the player.
Kazakhstan has successfully hosted ATP tournaments. And how significant, in your opinion, they are for the country's tennis development? And what does it take for a country to become a high-level caliber host for such tournaments?
Look, I can tell you that the ATP 250 that we run is recognized as the best organized tournament in the world at that level. I mean, the quality of the organization, the hotels, everything like that. So already the president has elevated this tournament. And 2 years ago, because of the COVID, it became an ATP 500 for 1 year, and we had 7 of the top 10 players playing, and Djokovic won, beating Tsitsipas in the final. So it's put Kazakhstan a little bit more on the map in terms of tournaments. But as I said earlier, we're also on the map that last year we finished 5th in the world in Junior Davis Cup, all Kazakh players. We beat Australia and France. Okay, that was 2 Grand Slam nations we beat to finish 5th. In 2022, we finished 4th in the world in under 14 boys. So, and we have a lot of other success stories. So we're already in the map. And yes, sometimes people say, okay, with our Davis Cup team, sometimes there's players that weren't born here, but we now have people like, well, Zarina Diaz was a very much a Kazakh player. We now have Bibit Zukayev, who qualified for Wimbledon. He's from Aktau. You know, we have our players like Amir Omarkanov coming up. So we have a lot of Kazakh players coming through. And last year we had 6 players in the top 100, 2 in the top 20. And so it looks good for the future. So in terms of being on the map, I think Kazakhstan, thanks to the great work since 2007, it's on the map. People message me many times, say, Dave, how are they getting results? Well, it's a combination of all the work that's been done, but also some changes we made in 2020, which is what I said earlier, quality of training, number of hours, etc. It requires sacrifice. If it was easy, every country would have good players. But parents, players, coaches have to sacrifice to be good.
You know, we've talked about Kazakh players outside, and you've mentioned them right now. And I know that right now Kazakhstan is known, I guess, mostly because of Bublik, because of Rybakina, because of their astounding success. But in your experience, how local talent development versus recruiting or naturalizing players from other countries make difference in long-term impact between a homegrown, you know, player or someone who's coming from another country or changes federations?
It's a very good question, and I think Elena and Bublik have been very important for tennis. And I have to say, whenever I ask them to do something, they do it. Sasha Bublik did a really nice video to promote the under 14 boys, to encourage them. They do things all the time, so they're really, really good from that point of view. What I want to say also is that a lot of people don't understand the history of the Soviet Union in some ways, and I'm not saying I'm the expert, but when the Soviet Union broke up in 1990, 1991, the rules of the ITF were anybody born in any country could play for any other country, okay, before the breakup. So, for example, there was a player from Latvia who played for Russia, Larisa Sevchenko. So it's a lot of times people were moving. So it was, now Lena was born afterwards and Sasha were, but moving countries was not unusual. And after Lena won Wimbledon, I was interviewed by some of the British papers and they asked me about it. And I said, look, she moved 4 years before Konta, 4 years after Konta moved from Australia to Britain. Norrie, he moved from New Zealand to Britain. And Rosetsky moved from Canada to Britain. And Muguruza was born in Venezuela and she won Wimbledon for Spain. So a lot of countries have benefited from players moving, but they have had a big impact. And they're very good because they always do things with the players. When they come here to play Billie Jean King Cup or Davis Cup, they play with the juniors and stuff. And of course, people identify, but bigger is when somebody like Bibit Zukayev, who's from Aktau, qualifies at Wimbledon. People here think, wow, if he can do it, I can do it.
That's exactly what I wanted to say.
And Zarina Diaz from Almaty, she became 40 in the world and is a great example. Because sometimes I say to people, you know, people say, oh, it's really difficult here. I say, please stop. This tennis center has all these indoor courts, indoor clay, 3 gyms. It's unbelievable. You know,
just
so
use this opportunity.
You won't find this in Europe. So don't say you don't have the opportunity. Yes, maybe there's more competition in Europe and eventually you can go there, but please, look at the glass half full, not half empty.
But at the same time, Rybakina and Bublik, they kind of, you know, started this tennis ambition of Kazakhstan.
No.
Many young players.
It's helped a lot. Look, Bublik has so many followers, and so does Lena. And
that's what I'm saying.
No,
it
absolutely. It helps so much, and the people are interested. But I think it's like I'm from Ireland. Okay, I would love to see Irish people champions, and people who are they want to see people who are from here growing up. They would like to see them champions as well. But it's they've been so good for tennis, for promoting the sport, and now because of that we have all these players coming through. Akhmadi, who's playing in Czech, he's number 7 in Europe, number 7 ranked player in Europe, and he's from Kazakhstan, and he's training with us here in our academy.
There is a misconception, I guess, or stereotype, especially like in the United States where I studied, that tennis is a very WASP, country club, expensive, exclusive sport. Do you think this stereotype is still valid
I don't
today?
think it is, especially for kids, because what we've managed to do is by using smaller courts and the slower balls, on a court like this, we can have 20 children playing with each other. You can have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 courts with 16 to 20 players. Because of that, it's very cheap. You don't have to pay a lot of money for it. And so introduction in our baby tennis program, our 10 and under program, is really very reasonable for parents. And in fact, in some of the tennis centers, it's completely free, like Oktober. So one of the things Mr. Bulat has done with the government as president is to get all these tennis centers built. And now it's very accessible for young people. Of course, if you want to be a professional player and you become good, you have to travel, because tennis, you have to travel to tournaments.
Yes.
And it does become expensive, but that's later on. And one of the things that the Tennis Federation does very well, with sometimes the government money, is they help the players and the parents to be able to continue their career. And that's why we have players like Amir, Damir, Zanger, who are now in the top levels of junior tennis. So you're right, it was a stereotype, but now I think people are seeing that it's a game that's really for everybody. And it's not expensive.
And to wrap up this part of the interview outside, I wanted to ask you, what does it take for for someone to be a good tennis player? Is it something in your physical complexity that you have? You're tall, you're very fast, you're thin, or it's about the way you're thinking? Before we started the interview, you told me that tennis actually helps you not only, be a good sportsman, but also in your life.
It does. What I always say, the best part of tennis is it helps you grow up. And I'll give you some examples. In football, if I push somebody and the referee doesn't see it, it's not a moral dilemma. But in tennis, you learn that you have to be fair. Okay? In a lot of sports, the coach tells you what to do, where to stand and what to do. In tennis, when you go on the court, you have to think for yourself. You have the scoring system in tennis. You can have match point and lose. You can have match point against you and win. You learn to fight every point. And in life, that's what you have to do. You have to take, when you have a bad loss, you have to come back. And so for me, it's very, now your question about what makes a good tennis player is a very good question. And this is why it's very dangerous at an early age to say somebody's going to be the next champion. I give you an example that at 12 years old, somebody can have a body of a 14-year-old or a body of a 10-year-old. So comparing them is very dangerous. You have to start having a wide base at 10 and under, 12 and under, and gradually then talent identification goes as you get older. For me, it's about tennis ability, being able to play, but also about having weapons, big forehand, big serve, athletic ability, do they move really well, but also the mental of being able to deal with adversity. And even there's another variable, which is no sport travels as much as tennis. So a 13-year-old boy or a 13-year-old girl usually from then on are traveling between 15 and 20 weeks. And do they like travel? Some people adapt to it really well, some people don't. And what I always joke a little bit about is because Kazakh is the home of nomads. So I say we should be perfect because we're used to moving all around the world. But so all those things you have to look at when you're doing talent identification. You have to look at the fitness tests. You've got to look at their on-court. And in the game today, it's about weapons. And Lena Rybakina is a good example. Big serve, big forehand, beat, big serve, big forehand. You need weapons to be able to beat people. Well,
Dave, thank you very much for introducing me to the world of tennis and sharing so much about the progress that Kazakhstan has made.
It's made a big progress.
Yeah, it debunked all my stereotypes, all my preconceptions about our place in the world of tennis, and I'm very hopeful. So thank you very much, and thank you for your contribution.
No, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.